vlog. I have 7 Netgalleys that I read in this vlog. They include Grief Eater by Emma Osborne, Girl's Girl by Sonia Feldman, All Hell Chaos by Sarah Reese Brennan, The Last Time You Drowned by Saratoga Schaefer, Hunger and Thirst by Claire Fuller, Animal Room by Lauren Ampora, and Headlights by C.J. Lead. All of these books are releasing the beginning of June, 2nd or the 9th, I believe. The last 2 I mentioned, Animal Room and Headlights, are releasing on the 9th. All the rest are releasing June 2nd, so they are already out by the time you were seeing this, because it is June 2nd right now, and a lot of editing to do. But anyways, without farther ado, here's the vlog.
Hey guys, this is going to be a Ready Set Net vlog. I have many Netgalleys to get to for June releases. I have 8, I think. I might possibly have 9, and they're all physical, other than one. I think I have one audio for All Hail Chaos, I think. Yeah, Long Live Evil was the first one. The second one was All Hail Chaos. So I have the second book in that series on audio that I can get to. I think it just got released, but I just got accepted for the audio on Netgalley, so I haven't done that one yet. But anyways, many arcs. So we are going to get started reading those. The first one I'm going to tackle is Grief Eater by Emma Osborne. This is a queer vampire novella. We have a woman with a very bad childhood, abusive childhood situation, and she's gotten away from that. But in this world, there's vampires wreaking havoc on the world, sort of like a pandemic zombie situation, but they're vampires. And at the beginning of this book, she gets turned into a vampire, like the very first couple pages. And this is her, I don't want to say too much because it's only 100 and something pages, trying to hold on to her, I wouldn't say humanity, but hold on to her mental capacities, whilst also taking this new power and strength that she has and maybe give some consequences to some people that have hurt her. I'm only halfway through this at this point, so I don't want to say any more than that, but I am enjoying this quite a bit so far. I only have 70 pages left to read, so I'm going to get going on this one. Nice quick one to start it off. I have finished Grief Eater. I really liked this. At first I thought it was just very simple, and it is very simply written, but I was enjoying it. I don't really know if this is meant to be vampire or zombie or some sort of combination monster of the two, but I found it very interesting to sort of, through her eyes, learn about what has happened to this world. Well, you don't get much of that. You just get a little bit of it, but I thought it was enough because the main point of it is our main character. And she is dealing with a lot of trauma that she's had in her past. So we're going back and forth between her transversing this land that has been taken over by these monsters, and now that she is one, trying to get to her family home, and her memories of kind of what had happened when she came out and how her family treated her, and her found family and stuff. Just a little bit. It's very short, like I said, so it's not a whole lot of each thing, but all that's in there. And I would say that I liked it a whole lot. I would have given it 4 stars, and then it got towards the end and it broke my heart, man. It really packed a punch. So I don't know if it's quite 5 stars, but it's a high 4 for sure. I think I'm going to give it 5 stars on Goodreads. But yeah, that ending is going to stick with me, I think. And so for such a short one, it packed a punch with me. So I almost want to give it 5. So I might just go ahead and give it 5 stars. I feel like I've been getting too many 5 stars lately, but if I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it, right? So I just blew through it, and yeah, that ending, whew. So yeah, I would check this one out. I think it's still on Read Now on Netgalley if you have Netgalley, at least at the time of me recording this. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, this is an Aussie author, Aussie story, but based in Australia completely. And so yes, queer, all those things. So we'll be moving on to my next Netgalley. I have All Hell Chaos on audio. I have Girl's Girl by Sonia Feldman, which is more of a contemporary fiction, a lit fic. I have The Last Time We Drowned by Saratoga Schaefer, who wrote one of the Trad Wives, the Demon Child one, and which I gave 5 stars and really liked. Hunger and Thirst. Those are the next ones I have that come out at the beginning of June. So I'm trying to decide what I want next. I think The Last Time I Drowned is more of a thriller, so that might be fun. Girls Girl is a lit fic, and I've been reading a lot of horror, so that might be nice too. So I might check out Girls Girl first and see how I feel about the writing style of that. I have started Girls Girl by Sonia Feldman. This is a sapphic coming-of-age story about deep friendship bonds as you're going through your high school years. It seems pretty modern to me so far. They have cell phones, they have The Sims, they have video chat, so it has to be pretty modern. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm going to be reading a little bit outside today. It's actually going to be in the 70s today. It's going to be nice. It's going to be sunny. I got to soak up some of that vitamin D and read this book for a bit. I finished Girls Girl, and I think I'm going to give this a 3. I could probably even be talked down to a 2.5, but I think I'm going to go with the 3. I just never really felt emotionally connected to these girls at all. I didn't feel invested. It's just sort of a nice coming-of-age sapphic story, but there's no real depth to it, in my opinion. I don't know. These girls just seem kind of just like 15-year-old girls, just kind of shallow and living their lives. And this is just sort of about them, you know, being friends. And I think that could be really cute and a nice story. I don't know. It's hard for me to describe my feelings on this book. So there were some lines that I rolled my eyes out like hard, and not because of the ages or of the people in the book, but like the writing specifically that I just could not get behind. I'm like, no, that doesn't work. It took me out of the story. The ending was good and ambiguous, sort of in a way that I think is realistic. Things I really enjoyed about this were the relationship, the mother-daughter relationship. I thought was well done. I enjoyed that. And then there's this one scene where they're at a fair and one of the characters really loving looking at the animals and stuff, and sort of having a moment where she's more of a younger girl than, you know, like a teen, and it's just like really sweet. And I like how Mina reacted to that, acknowledging that there's a reason that she loves these animals, and, you know, she never was allowed to have a pet. She's never allowed to have like knickknacks around the house. So just like her being whimsical in a way that she wasn't maybe allowed to at home. And I like that. I thought that was really sweet. So I feel like there are some really sweet, cute moments in here. I don't think it's a bad book at all, but it's just very like surface level to me. It was refreshing that as far as the sapphic stuff, there was no pushback to that from parents at all, which I found to be refreshing. I mean, it made the stakes a lot lower. You weren't having, oh no, like, what if someone finds out about this that shouldn't find out about this, and some consequences of having a relationship outside the norm. But I thought it was refreshing that that really wasn't a part of this. There are plenty of stories that have that. So I think this would be nice for a girl who looks back at their, or a woman who looks back at their girlhood and can identify with this, who didn't have these stories growing up. I think this would be really good for. But like I said, overall, the writing didn't work all that great for me, and the depths of the story just didn't work for me that well. But like I said, this is just a nice story. It's perfectly fine. And that goes. I have started The Last Time We Drowned by Saratoga Schaefer. She wrote Trad Wife, which I gave 5 stars. One of the Trad Wives, one of the first ones that came out earlier this year. And I really, really liked that. I gave it 5 stars. This is more thrillery, so we'll see how much I like this. I know that, no, their pronouns are they, them. They wrote things at the same time. Like a lot of their books just got picked up around the same time. So I wonder where this fell in the line of things that were written. It seems like popcorn thrillery bit, reminding a little bit of Yellowface, a little bit of, I don't know what else, but their premise is that we're following a reluctant bookstagrammer. She has about 50,000 followers. She wants to be a writer, but she hasn't been able to get to that level yet. And she had a roommate who suggested to her, hey, start a bookstagram, this will help you. And so she just kind of gets wrapped up in the bookstagram, but she really wants to write, and she ends up not writing. And then her roommate ends up getting this book deal and has some very big success, and then ends up passing away, which we know from very early on. And then we find our main character is floundering and needs to make money very, very badly, and has lost both of her jobs. And so she applies for this job as an influencer aboard this luxury stationery lot off the shore of a private island, and she is hired on the spot, which is really weird because she feels like she is very much beneath the people who are already on the yacht. She's not as big as of an influencer. She's not as polished and sassy, and she doesn't have the right clothes and the right look, etc. They bring her aboard. They say it's because she's bisexual and because of her look that she will bring diversity to the cast of this yacht, I guess. They're all influencers. They're all posting from the yacht and to advertise this. And of course, you feel a nefarious undertone because of what this book is. And so we will see how everything turns out. I am liking it so far. It's definitely entertaining. I like Saratoga's writing. She keeps mentioning this book that her friend wrote, and she mentions the title a bajillion times, and that is kind of getting annoying. I feel like we don't need the title every single time, but that's the only nitpicky thing that I have with this so far. I don't know how much I'm going to like it. The characters are obviously going to aggravate me, but I think that's the point. But there's definitely like all the characters in here needed to get on here when they started. They were down on their luck. And is this going to be a Epstein situation? I don't know. But there's definitely nefarious things. There's already been one of the influencers coming down and they've like shushed her away and been like, oh no, you don't need to be here. Go back to your room. So we don't know what's going on with that. So we're getting some of their backstories and I'm enjoying it so far. So that I'm about 20% of the way through of that so far. And then I'm also going to be listening to the sequel of Long Live Evil called All Hail Chaos. I really liked this one. I thought it was a fun time. It's a comedy fantasy where this woman who is dying gets offered to be put into this world of her favorite book series, and she has a mission that she has to accomplish, and if she accomplishes it, she'll be cured. But she's basically on her deathbed. She's in a coma at the moment. She is not verbal or anything, and she gets thrown into this world, and I just thought it was quite funny and quite clever, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to giving the audiobook a listen. I will say that I've started a little bit of it, and they give a good synopsis of what happened in the first one, so I appreciate that, because I did read this quite a while ago, over a year ago now, so that makes me happy. So I am going to go to the lake and go kayaking, and I'll see you on the lake. That yesterday, and while I was kayaking, I did listen to more of All Hell Chaos, which is the sequel to Long Live Evil. As I said, I am enjoying that one. I think I'm over 50% of the way through now. Let me double check. I have that on Netgalley as an audiobook. I am 63% of the way through. I do feel myself zoning out at certain points. I really, really love Eric, who's also, I think, Cobra, and his guardian starts with an M, Maris, I think, and they are just lovely. They're just so funny. I love them so much. Cobra is another character that you find out in the first book is also from our world and was given a deal to be brought into this world and a quest to do to be saved. And he's just so funny. He'll name random things, stuff from our modern world. He talks about our world and tells people about it willy-nilly. And he just uses his knowledge to his own benefit. And he's just so funny. I just love it. So that's the highlight for me. The main character I am liking, Rachel or Ray, we call her in this. But yeah, I think that it's just the first one I love so much because of the novelty of it. So this one is just bringing my interest down a little bit, but I still think it's definitely worth listening to. If you liked the humor in the first one, you'll like the humor in here. I just think that for me, I'm just getting kind of sick of it as we're getting further on in the book, but there's still moments where I'm like, haha, that's funny, or that's cute, or I'm still interested in reading it. So I think this will probably get a 3.5 for me. That's what my prediction right now, but I am still enjoying it. And I think I'm about 40-something% into the last time we drowned. Let's check. 43% into the last time we drowned. This one, it's based on a yacht. Things immediately start going wrong for our main character. We're just getting to know all the people she's on the yacht with, and then something bad happens, goes wrong, and they're all trapped on this yacht together. And I'm assuming it's going to be like an isolated setting situation. I don't know if everyone's gonna start dying. I didn't really read too much about the synopsis or what exactly is going to happen, but no matter what, there's going to be a lot of drama with the people that are stuck on this boat together. So I'm curious to see how the rest of this pans out, but I'm liking it. I think that my prediction for this will be a 3.5, 4 as well. It's thriller-y, so it'll definitely depend on how it ends. If it goes off the rails like their other book, Tradwife, I'll probably enjoy it more than a 3-star. So we will see how this goes. I'll get back to you when I can, and when I have something else to say. It is 10:49 now on Thursday, and I spent the morning running and then also making a tier ranking of all the Stephen King I've read video. So I recorded that, so I need to edit that as well. I don't know if I'll do that right now though, because this will be my chance to read some before the kids get home. I have a few hours now. Hi, I am here to update you on the 2 Netgalleys I've been reading. I finished the All Hail Chaos, which is the sequel to this one, and I ended up giving it a 3. I don't think I needed a sequel for that one. It was still fun. I still was loving some of the characters, especially Cobra and his friend that starts with an M that I can't remember, Marius, I think. And I loved them, and I loved some of the humor in here. It still had the same kind of fun feeling to it and fun fantasy vibes, but I don't think I really needed a second one. I don't know if I'll pick up the third one. I just found myself not really caring towards the end, but I still thought it was a fun time. So again, I'm going to give it a 3. And then I finished reading The Last Time We Drowned by Saratoga Schaefer, and I really loved their Tradwife. I read this on Netgalley, and then I wanted my own copy, and I gave it 5 stars, and I loved it so much, so I wanted to check out their new book, but I ended up giving it 2 stars. Halfway through, I was just not feeling it at all. I thought it was very repetitive. I felt like the author just kept on saying the same things over and over again, wanting to like drill it through your head. It's a thriller. Thrillers aren't really my cup of tea anyway. A lot of the time, I'm very picky about which ones I enjoy. It's definitely a bit of satire in here, a bit of goofy campiness, which I can really enjoy, but for whatever reason, the writing and the plot of this one just didn't work for me. It's involving influencers again. It kind of has like the Eat the Rich vibe, but it did not do that well for me. We really needed there are a couple dudes in here that are definitely not good people, and it was fine. I don't know. It just wasn't a hit for me. So I'm going to leave it as a 2-star, and a very sad 2-star. But that doesn't mean I won't pick up anything that they write next. I am still curious to read their serial killer support group, and then whatever they come up with next, if it's something that sounds like I'll like, I will definitely give it a shot. Saratoga, they had a bunch of books picked up all at once, and so I'm curious like if this was the first one that they wrote, and because it's just a different flavor than what we got in here, because this was like campy in a way that I really liked, and just fun in a way I really liked. But The Last Time They Drowned, unfortunately, just didn't work for me. The Last Time We Drowned, I should have DNF'd it. I thought about 60% through that I wasn't really enjoying it, but I was hoping like go off the rails in a way that I really liked. And it does go off the rails, but it just wasn't in a fun way. I don't know. It's just something about the repetitiveness and over explanation of the writing just wasn't for me. So that was a 2 stars. That was sad. So next, I started reading The Animal Room by Lauren Acampora. And this is interesting because it's interconnected stories in a town in Connecticut surrounding their relationship with animals. And I wasn't sure what to expect from this, but I've only, I think, halfway through the first story, and I'm really liking the writing. As far as the content goes, I don't know if I'm gonna like this or not yet, but I am enjoying the writing and the first story so far. It's about a woman who is a mom who works from home, and she's overly anxious about her kids going into the woods and just having a free range life. She's worried about everything from ticks to bear attacks to the kids getting shot by an arrow with their neighbor who likes to hunt on the property. Yeah, so she seems like she might go a little unhinged, but I'm not sure yet. At the point I'm at now, she is doing some things that are definitely out of character for what it seems like she is expected to do, and so I'm curious to see where that goes. But so far, I really like the writing in this. Like right away, this is resonating with me much more than the other All Hell Chaos and The Last Time We Drowned. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I've been a bad vlogger and have not updated you at all on the animal room. This is a bunch of interconnected stories, town in Connecticut, of the people in a town in Connecticut and all their connections to animals. So there's a theme of animal companionship, there's hunters in here, there's animal lovers in here, there's animal activists in here, there's people who do research on animals, so all different connections to animals in here. Overall, I gave this 3 stars. I loved some of the stories. I thought they were interesting and they kept my interest, and especially I think like the first story, I love the writing. Overall, the writing is great, but just didn't resonate with me as far as some of the stories go. There were a few I think there's like 1 or 2 I gave 5 stars or 4 stars. The rest were like 3s and 2s. And so overall I gave it 3 stars. I think the writing is really well done. I think some people will really like this one. I mean, it's interesting how everything sort of came together at the end, and how everything was sort of interconnected. However, it wasn't like big enough payoff for me to make up for the stories that I just wasn't very interested in. But I do think that it was well done. The characters were well developed in the stories, and the cover is really gorgeous. So if you're interested, I would still give this one a shot. I also think that my experience with it may have been dampened by me reading it all within a few days. I think this one might be better served as like reading a story or 2 a day instead. I often find that with short story collections, even if they are interconnected, that I seem to have a better experience if I take my time with them and do like a story a day rather than trying to read them all at the same pace I would a novel. And so that could have also hampered my experience. Anyways, I need to read, what am I going to read next? I think I'm going to read Hunger and Thirst, because this one comes out at the beginning of June. So I'm going to start this one. I think this will be the plan next. So you'll see that one next. However, I don't think I'm going to start that one today. I think I will start that one probably on Monday, so tomorrow. So I have started Hunger and Thirst now. This is my next Netgalley. This one releases in the beginning of June, I think the first Tuesday in June, so an earlier one. And in this we're following Ursula, who is a older teen, I believe, and she has just exited out of the foster care system. She has been settled down into a halfway house where her social worker has placed her. It's not ideal, but is going okay. She got a job at a art college. She's an artist herself, but she got a job at an art college as a janitor. So she's working there and she gets to be around the art and some of the art students. She's met some friends there who also work there, and she is developing friendships with them. One of them says, hey, I'm going to be living in this house rent-free. We just have to pay for the electricity. They even have like this machine you have to put money into for electricity, like a coin machine. It's less interesting. And they go there. So she thinks that this is going to be a better situation than she's currently in, even though her social worker says, hey, maybe this is not such a good idea. And at the point I'm at now, she's gone into this house and it's very creepy. Everything has been left there by the previous owners, even pictures and clothing and dishes, and everything's basically left. Like they just dropped everything and left or passed away. I don't know if we know which one. Ursula is, like I said, an artist. She's had a tumultuous past with the foster care system. There's something that happens in this house. We know that because there are some flash forwards and where a reporter is trying to get a hold of her. One thing I will say is the writing style in the beginning seemed a little clunky, but I'm getting used to it now. During the flash forwards, they don't necessarily tell you, it just sort of does it and you have to catch on, and it's easy to catch on, but it does throw me off for a second. I'm liking the relationship so far with her and her one friend. I think her name is Jen, but it could be Sarah. I'm not sure. Anyways, well, yeah, I think I'm 20% into this, so I'm going to continue reading this, and I'll let you know when I have something else to say. Then I am also still reading Hunger and Thirst. I don't know if I'm liking this one. I've found myself becoming less and less interested as I've been reading it, which isn't a good sign. At least this last session I read this morning, I just don't know. It's not keeping my interest, but I'm still gonna give it a little bit more of a shot because it is something that I should be interested in. It's like a weird haunted house thing, but like there's something real sketchy about her friend, Sue or Susan, and we are flipping back and forth a little bit through like the current timeline, so we know something bad happened, and there's a documentary about it, and they are questioning some of the people that were involved, but we don't really know what that is yet. Sue is really annoying though. I think that's her name. I hope that's her name. And she says a lot of weird things about her family and her baby brother, and I don't like her. But our main character is fine. So they are young though. They're younger than I thought they were. So our main character, Ursula, is 16, I think. So yes, pretty young. So that might be another reason why I'm not liking it. So we'll see. It says it's atmospheric and psychologically vivid and non-put-downable, but I'm not finding that. Right now it's feeling like a 3. But I'm hoping things will pick up, but I'll let you know. Okay, so my final thoughts on Hunger and Thirst by Claire Fuller for Ready, Set, Net. This one is a hard one because there were things in this I really liked. I think the last half of it went better for me than the first half. It kept me reading and interested in wanting to know what was going to happen, but I think there were a lot of pacing issues here. Also, the writing style at times was very confusing. We went from past to present without really any explanation or hint that that's what we were doing at times. So I found myself a little bit confused, and I had to figure that out after reading a few sentences instead of knowing right off the bat. I wasn't a big fan of the character development in here. I was never really that attached to anybody. Everybody kind of fell a little bit flat for me. I wanted more from the only person, like Sue, I felt like eked out by, and I didn't really like her, and I think that was the point, but I didn't really go far enough for me to really know how I felt about her. And when the major event happens in here, there's a question if it's mental health or if what Ursula experienced was really what Ursula experienced. So I don't always love when that's a theme in these books, depending on how it is done. This was okay, in my opinion. I thought that it was interesting. Like I said, it kept me reading, but I didn't think it was amazing. I was considering somewhere between a 3.5 star, I think. So I think I'm going to go with a 3 for this one. And I feel like this Ready, Set, Net vlog is going to be pretty boring because I think most of my Netgalleys this month have been pretty middle of the road, but I do have Grief Eater, which I did really like. So at least there's that one. I have a few more to read, so we'll see. I have Headlights by CJ Lead, which I'm curious about. I've only ever read May Fly By Them, and I'm not sure if I never got to American Rapture. I do own it, so I still need to read it, but that one intrigues me as well, so we'll see. I mean, the concept of Headlights intrigues me, so maybe I'll like it. I know Jan isn't the biggest fan, so that makes me nervous, but I'm going to try to go into it with no expectation. So, however, I'm not sure which one comes out next, so let me check that out. Before my battery dies, I am reading CJ Lead's Headlights now. I am about 15% of the way in. What's interesting about this one is it does follow a male character, a male protagonist, and from what I remember, CJ Lead's books in the past are all about women, so that'll be an interesting change to see how I enjoy that one. We are following Daniel, or Dan, or Danny, and he has a past that is very traumatic, and I don't know if it's in the synopsis, but let's just say he has a very traumatic past and trauma involving this prior case that he has been working on, and he has to go back there. He's called back there. and he has to deal with all the PTSD and trauma that is associated with that place from the case and from his past, because that's where he grew up and it's where a devastating thing happened to him when he was a child. He also seems to have some sort of a mental thing going on. His thoughts are very scattered. He'll go from past to present. He'll start thinking about things from the past and then it'll be in the present, and he obviously is having flashbacks to what happened in the past. His name is Danny or Daniel, and I think that might be a call to The Shining. It seems like he may have some extraordinary gifts that we don't know about yet, but it seems to be hinting at that. So I don't know if that's in the synopsis at all either, but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm definitely curious to see where this is going. It's pretty brutal so far though, with the kills and the things that are happening. I mean, people being skinned and tongues being torn out and people being duct taped. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yes, it is pretty brutal and horror so far. So I'm liking that. Hey, I am here to update you on Headlights by CJ Lead. I'm about 50% of the way through that book now. I liked the beginning of it. I thought the concepts were interesting. The whole person found naked wearing someone else's skin, never doesn't remember anything that happened and doesn't even know the person that they supposedly killed and cannibalized. So I thought that was interesting. However, our main character, Danny, I'm not loving. He's a Southern guy, ex-FBI agent, military dude, and I don't always love following guys anyway, but then he's like definitely not the type that I would like to follow if I do follow. I don't always love FBI crime stories, but I was like, if I could love one, maybe CJ Lead would be the one that I would love. But I think at this point in the story, I think that CJ Lead tried to do too much here. We have paranormal aspects with Billy that maybe he has talents of and he's dealing with. Possible haunted house. He's dealing with the death of his parents and his biological mother slash father and his traumas associated with that, traumas associated with the war. He's back in town with his ex-wife and his friends that were friends with his ex-wife as well, so dealing with that dynamic. He is back in an area where he was working in before, so he's dealing with that dynamic and all of the places and feelings being brought up there. There's also an aspect of conservation with wolves in here that was tossed in there, and there's a lot of things going on, and I don't know if it's serving the overall pace and plot of the book. However, I am still entertained at this point. I am thinking a 3-star would be right at this point, but I was hoping as I read on that I would like it more, so we will see what happens. Right now, Daniel is in a different location with a different person that we haven't really learned much about yet, and I am intrigued. I'm curious to see what's going to happen and all of those things, but I am not quite sure how much I'm enjoying this so far. It's not a struggle to read, so it's definitely not going to be like a 1 or just a flat 2. I'm entertained enough, but not completely happy with the way this is going. So I will let you know when I finish to wrap up my thoughts on Headlights by CJ Lead. Hello from the floor. I have Briar here and Ellie's over there. I have now finished Headlights by CJ Lead, and I'm going to end up giving it a 3.25. I could push it maybe to a 3.5. There were points of this where I was really into it. I think there's some things that are done really well here. The staccato almost writing during high anxiety times and high action times I thought worked really well to just give you that feeling of anxiousness and jitteriness, and I thought that was done really well. But the overall story, when I put it down, I didn't really have an urge to pick it back up again. It took me a while to get into it every single time that I picked it up. It took me a while overall to get into it from the beginning. And I was interested in the overall concept of what is going on with these killings and skinnings. But in the end, I just sort of feel like it was a little bit too muddled by everything that was going on. We had, I think I mentioned this in my last clip, but we had the FBI, we have paranormal, we have possible ghosts, we have land, someone buying up land, and environmental stuff in here. We have trauma and PTSD. We have cannibalism, divorce, war, there's just a lot going on, but I was never really attached to any of the relationships in here, any of the characters in here. There's one scene that I felt like there's like a sex scene in here, which I thought was fun. Like I enjoyed that part of it, but it kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't know if it really went with the rest of the story. That part I thought was kind of fun though. Some of the things that happened during that scene, they really, yeah. So I thought it was fun. Also, like The Shining, callbacks to The Shining and Shining and things like that. I think I would have liked that better if it was left a little more subtle than them actually visiting places in Colorado where that was filmed and talking and having the book be present in the book. And I mean, I thought it was fun, but I thought it was almost like too in your face. I would have liked it with him being named Danny. I think just him being named Danny and maybe talking about Shining would have been enough for me. I thought it was a little bit too much. But overall, the reason that this didn't get higher for me is that I wasn't truly invested. I thought that the overall culmination and ending of this was a little convoluted for me. I would say the last half hour of me reading it or so, I'm like, okay, let's wrap things up, wrap it up. I'm ready for this to be over. And so, yeah, I think that readers of her other books going into this one, it's very different. You have a male protagonist. It's a much well, I wouldn't say it's like a much larger overarching plot because American Raptor is like a sex pandemic or whatnot. But it's just got a very different vibe and feel to it. I haven't read American Raptor, but I did read Mayfly, and that's obviously a lot more, I don't want to say lighthearted, but there is more humor to that one. And this one is definitely a more serious horror novel. Like I said, I didn't dislike this book. I enjoyed it. It just was not bang out success for me, but I am glad, I'm happy to have read it. I don't feel as if I've wasted my time, and I would suggest if you are a fan of her writing or if the concept sounds interesting to you, to give it a shot. I think the reason that I finished this one and pushed through it is because I wanted the answers, and I felt like a lot of the times we were like on the cusp of getting answers, and then we only learned barely anything at all. And there were cult stuff in here. There's some other stuff in here that I don't want to say because it would be a spoiler. So just like a lot going on. So I ended up giving it a 3.25 and slightly sad about it because I feel like C.G. Lead is an author that has concepts that I could really like. But so far, Mayfly, I think I gave a 3.5 or a 4. I did really enjoy that one, but not as much as some others did. And American Raptor, I still have to read. I feel like out of all her books, that one could be the one that I like the most, but I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so we shall see. With that, I think I'm going to end this Ready Set Net vlog here. I have vlogged quite a few Netgalleys in this vlog, so I think I'm going to end it here. I think I did 5 or 6, but we will see. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Are you planning on reading any of these? Have you read any of these already? What books are you looking forward to reading in the month of June and July in the summer? Happy summer, everyone, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.